Forkast News is your gateway to all things blockchain. We do the deep dive and the due diligence on the blockchain projects and platforms that matter, because we aim to be the most reliable source of intellectual discourse and insight that inform, educate, and bridge the gap between the blockchain industry and the mainstream. In China, there is opportunity in undefined spaces, and that explains a lot about the young, vibrant energy that surrounds the blockchain industry in China. Developers with vision is one thing, but without the support of investors and resources around them, it remains only that. We're here in Shanghai, one of the tech hubs in China, and we are sitting in one of the blockchain centers around the world that CEO of Blockchain Global, Sam Lee, helped build. In fact, this is just one of many. Blockchain Global has invested more than $300 million into dozens of blockchain-enabled companies and projects around the world. So who better to help us understand China and the blockchain industry than Sam, Australian, grew up in Australia, but you saw the opportunity here in China 2 years ago, and here we sit today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here with us. Help us understand what you saw in China, what you saw with blockchain 2 years ago that you said, need to be here.
Well, we first start with wherever there is talent, and China, having been the epicenter of the Bitcoin mining boom, the exchange boom, and subsequently the ICO boom, has gathered a lot of talent and capitalized a lot of opportunities and technology. Now, these talent and technology, however, lack the regulatory clout in order for that rubber to hit the road. And as an Australian company that has successfully worked with regulators, especially in Australia since 2014, creating tax laws, accounting standards, as well as blockchain standards through Standards Australia, ISO standards, we were successful in bringing a lot of that kind of regulatory framework to many, many markets. And we saw when we could put talent from China with regulation from Australia, that was a very dynamic coupling of activity and value.
I want to understand that you come from experience from the Australian regulatory space,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And so that you're applying that regulatory framework to talent pool here in China.
Yes, that's
well,
right.
China's regulations have also evolved since 2014. They've shut down the mining, they've shut down the ICOs, they are shutting down the crypto exchanges. So in the context of that, how is Chinese policy shifting and shaping blockchain innovation in China?
So the capability of building on the blockchain is not something that you can build overnight. And because of all the wealth and capital that came into funding a lot of exciting blockchain opportunities in China, we have a real expertise that was what attracted us to China in the first place. We have actually got over 240 regulated exchanges registered with AUSTRAC, which is the Australian government anti-money laundering body. That means that Australian regulated exchanges actually take up over 80% market share of all regulated exchanges globally. What that meant was there was a significant arbitrage for us to take Chinese talent in building blockchain-enabled exchanges and subsequently deploying it into an Australian regulated framework. And with that, there was a real ability to capture and create jobs in China from a technology front and in Australia from a legal and regulatory front.
Yeah, we've been talking to so many young people. We've been talking to so many people in the blockchain industry here in China. And the one thing that, is hard maybe for an outsider to understand is really what motivates, what drives, what's in their heart, what's on their mind. What do they see about the blockchain industry that excites them? And that's something that you see every day.
Yeah, well, blockchain is the buzzword, and there's so many adults that don't understand anything about it. And it's, I guess, really funny. Just like the dot-com bubble, we've all been through it, where you have these young people saying, I now know more than you, and I'm going to teach you. So it's actually a great way for intergenerational education, as well as, a give and take between, the son or daughter and their parents or grandparents. And what we find is children in China, they're not familiar with the concept of physical cash. It's all digital to them. Even if you have a 6-year-old, that person has got a smartphone with a WeChat wallet.
Yeah.
And that can translate into a blockchain-enabled wallet that people can then use to pay for a vending machine, pay for food out of a vending machine, or pay for a couple of rounds on a computer, one of those. Old school, yes, arcade machines.
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
So that is an exciting interaction that kind of leaps across very well. And because China's already gone digital into how they interact with things on a value basis, blockchain-enabled tokens is something that they get very, very quickly. And we're here to take advantage of that and provide the necessary education through the Blockchain Center as a not-for-profit to drive this kind of dialogue in primary school and secondary school programs.
So what do the kids want to know about blockchain, and what do they want to understand when they come to learn?
The easiest way for us to explain blockchain is we see this as a technology that allows everyone to issue a token of value that has a consensus of value based on whatever the friends and family are willing to pay for it. So this is how we see trust being built in the future. It's not just amongst governments issuing currencies or a gold certificate that everybody trades off that has value for 5,000 years. We're talking about peer-to-peer interaction between value I create and you create.
Yeah. Why did you come to China? What was the opportunity that you saw?
The breadth of talent in China is what really attracted us, because although regulation in the blockchain space has not really been the strong point of the Chinese ecosystem, and we completely understand that the central government has, of course, 1.4 billion people to kind of juggle. So that is fine for things to happen slowly. But what we want is to leverage the talent pool that has been created through these tech giants in China, and then leverage them into the blockchain space and export it overseas.
And so what are you exporting? What kind of ideas are you exporting from the talent pool here in China?
The opportunity for us to export Chinese blockchain capability is that we could build things faster, cheaper and quicker than anyone else in the world through the existing payment and technology expertise that China has. Apply that into blockchain, layer on some smart contracts and some blockchain sexiness, and you have an explosion of allowing any country outside of China to build a solution similar to WeChat that is secured and custodied and transparent on the blockchain.
And so really what you're leveraging is this enormous speed in which China has adopted fintech, has a talent pool of developers and coders that support that, and then be like the back engine to whatever product that can be exported and used in any other country. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to have the rest of the world experience China's payment technology, but regulation in these part of the world struggle to understand that payment technology really requires regulatory approval to digitize value. And I understand that a lot of regulators are here to protect end consumers, but that is also stifling innovation. So through the blockchain, we're able to more easily prove to regulators that the tokens are backed by real value because of the transparency and the limiting of supply or the management of a treasury to ensure that we're able to create a WeChat-like payment solution in any country in the world.
Is it easy for you to find projects that you want to invest in China?
Well, in terms of investing in China, we definitely have made numerous investments on the equity side. And we feel that at the right time, creating a byproduct that involves a tokenized unit overseas makes perfect sense. Just like how the Chinese just like how many Chinese companies have a free-tier corporate structure that allows them to list in the US, we see the same applying to having a Chinese company having a free-tier structure to create a token overseas as well.
What do you think of the PBOC, the central bank-backed digital currency that is about to be launched in either probably the next year or sooner?
I'm so excited that governments around the world are leveraging blockchain technology to more efficiently manage the digital value. And this process is going to save governments potentially billions of dollars and also increase the velocity of trust and the transfer of value. If we increase the velocity of value, that means everybody can actually have more value in their pockets at the same time.
Tell me about the one thing that excites you the most being based here in Shanghai, setting up here and thinking about blockchain innovation. What are the projects that excite you the most?
Well, what excites us the most is the ability for anyone to imagine anything and for the turnaround time in the development houses in China to be almost weekly. Within a sprint, you'll get new functionality, new features. And that too, I think, the spread of blockchain adoption on a global scale is instrumental because this industry moves so quickly. This technology moves so quickly. So you really do need a very proactive force of developers that can make it happen almost overnight, as opposed to going through the whole 3-month, 6-month waterfall project plans.
How does China compare then in terms of speed of talent and speed of evolving functionality to European teams, to American teams, to even Australian teams, in your point of view?
Well, Chinese blockchain talent has been evolving as the new features and functionality that BAT, the large tech giants in China, actually build as well. So if you look at the velocity of capital in China, it's faster than anywhere else in the world because not only because of the population density, but also due to the digitization of value. And now, this kind of experience would increase the economic activity in any country that adopts it. So what we want to drive is these countries having the right framework for us to deploy and copy paste the technology outcomes that Chinese people have benefited from into these, of course, Western sphere of influence.
Okay, so if I were to understand this, and correct me if I'm wrong, that in a country of 1.4 billion people, the technology has evolved at such a speed that proof of concept is happening all the time, right? And if the regulatory framework then becomes more consistent outside of China, in Australia, in Europe, in America, that the products that are created here in China could easily be transplanted and used because it's already been tested by 1.4 billion people, it's already been debugged, it's already been evolved within this incubator. So China, it's almost like you're explaining China as like a giant incubator for blockchain innovation that potentially we could see down the road 2, 3, 4 years from now.
Yes, and what is a good example of this technology in action is we've got ATMs, vending machines, coffee machines, gaming machines, all accepting tokens. We're talking about over 600 tokens available on our custody solution that is enabling all this hardware to actually interact with all these digital tokens that you can't touch. This kind of realization that blockchain is real by getting your coffee or getting a bag of chips from a vending machine is what we have exported from China. And it is going to be even more crazy with the ability to use facial recognition and to issue loyalty and rewards points for instance, employees who turn up on time, or the ability to scan your face in 10 times and get a free coffee. So that is, I think, where the rest of the world can benefit, because what we're talking about is the next level of incentivization and the next level of gamification, and it's already happening in China.
Right. Cryptocurrency, though, is not legal to use. So how does token economy fit within that policy framework, that guideline that China has issued?
Well, what we have created is corporate-backed tokens that are pegged to the Chinese yuan. It's more like a debt instrument. And of course, you could spend this debt instrument in a vending machine inside your workspace.
So it's not necessarily a decentralized cryptocurrency. It's more like a stable coin, like a internal token that is tied to the yuan.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so think of it this way. You work for an extra couple of hours overtime, and when you sign out by pressing your thumbprint on the corporate device that registers your sign out, that device is linked to your corporate wallet that gives you 20 more tokens that is spendable inside the corporate ecosystem.
And so it really is a social experiment as well as a business experiment, because you're testing out how people engage with the token economy.
Exactly. And get this, you put rubbish in a rubbish bin. The outside of the bin actually is covered with this panel. It's kind of like a flexible display screen, right? So as soon as you put rubbish in the bin, the flexible display screen displays a QR code that you have to quickly scan in 5 seconds. Once you scan it, it rewards your wallet with a token that you're able to then spend at a vending machine right next door. So what we're doing is talking about picking up loyalty points, picking up these kind of little social engagements for being a good citizen that is happening already in China, that we believe is driven more effectively on a blockchain.
That's amazing. Okay, I can't wait to learn more. That's for another conversation.
Yes, and I look forward to that other conversation to happen in Paris or Shanghai or, oh, actually we are in Shanghai. Truly
global. You guys are everywhere. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, Sam, thank you. That's awesome.